Uh, what are the basic functions of how does mind affect our being? First thing is, at the first level, or you can say at the lowest level, mind governs auto functioning of our body, and that is to keep it healthy and working. So you have a mind, even when we are not conscious of it, throughout the day, it is controlling our body. For examples, our breathing, digestion, sleep, reflex action, all these things are controlled by mind. You may call it subconscious mind because it is not visible to us or we are not conscious of it. So that is the one level of control mind has over us. The second is mind governs our conscious actions. So whatever we are doing consciously, that is also being controlled by mind. Now, there is a will, as I told you, a force which brings one or the other thought into our mind, and with that we control our activity. Suppose we are walking, consciously we are walking, we can be walking subconsciously also. But when we are walking consciously, we control our walking through mind. When lifting a bucket, when we are writing, we are doing an activity and we are consciously involved in it. There is a force or there is a will which is working in our mind, and through mind it is working on our body. Then mind also performs other functions like observation, memory, analysis and synthesis, imagination and conceptualization. So these are the activities, we will discuss them: observation, memory, analysis and synthesis, imagination and conceptualization. All these activities are done by our mind. Further, mind conceives a world view. It is through our mind we have a view about this world and we have a view about our life. Now, both these views are important to us because they govern our life. All our actions throughout our life depends how we perceive the world and how we perceive ourselves. It is the interaction of the two which, and both these world view and life view, where do they reside? They reside in our mind. They are formed by our mind. Okay. Then normally our mind is not free. Even when I say the mind is controlling our actions, almost all of our actions, mind itself is not free. Why? Mind gets controlled by vital being or vital elements. So most of the time you'll find that our mind is governed by fear, lusts, desires, and passions. For an example, if you are afraid of something, your mind starts operating accordingly and you take precautions as per the perception you have about the fear. Similarly, you have some desire, you feel like having a good food, mind makes you take a decision, you collect your money, you collect your vehicle, and you go out to a restaurant and enjoy the food there. Similarly, for all other things, these are the desires which are coming from our vital being, and they govern our mind. Similarly, like emotions, anger, love, hate, etc. In love, we may spend hours and hours together with somebody, or may take a long journey to go and meet our beloved. Or sometimes in anger, we take an action. We may kill somebody, harm somebody, or all these things we do. So in these actions, it is not mind which is actually governing us. It is these passions, these desires, these emotions which work through our mind. So we have to be conscious about it, that what is governing us. It may be fear, it may be lust, it may be passion, it may be ambition, it may be aim, it may be anger, love, or hate, which is governing you at the moment. And that is not all. Mind is also bound to an idea. These were, we are talking about desires, passion, and emotions, but there are other things which are controlling our mind. When mind is relatively free of vital, then mind is also governed by worldview or a system of ideals, which it has acquired over a period of time. For example, a person may be motivated by social service or patriotism. His actions will be different from other. A person may be motivated by excellence in art, literature, science, or something like that. His actions would be different. So what is the worldview you have? What is the value system you have? What are the ideals you have? They control our life through our mind. So our mind accepts those ideals, value systems, worldview, etc. Suppose a person thinks that this world is for enjoyment, right? He will live his life accordingly. Another person may think that this world is full of sorrows, and is this word is needs to be left out. He may take sannyas or something like that. Some may think that this world is full of ignorance and he wants to search for the truth. He may take some tapasya, he may go to some other exercise just to acquire that knowledge. So what may happen that now, so we have our mind which is controlling ourselves, but the mind itself is governed by something else. I told you that is one, the mind is governed by our fear, lust, desires, passion, emotions, etc. On the other hand, it is governed by worldview, value systems, ideals, etc. What is a free mind then? A free mind is only that mind which is free of thoughts. One that is silent. So now I would request you to reflect on yourself, how many times you feel that you are silent. And what I am saying is, it is preposterous. It is hurting that if you are not silent, you are not free. You are being governed by something or the other, either your desires or your value system or your ideals. Something is governing you. You are literally not free. A free mind is one which is free of thoughts. And I know it will be very rare that anybody could be free of thoughts for a very a reasonable duration. Okay, then we talk about what are the faculties of mind. We briefly touched this. First thing is the observation. What mind is doing is, with the help of senses, it observes physical world and can store that information in its memory. So the mind is all the time observing, but the mode of observation is always the senses. And that observation, it keeps on storing in its memory. Memory is another function of mind. Suppose we do not have the memory, what will happen? Memory actually connects our past to our present. We know what we were and what we are, and this gives us an identity. Suppose we do not have the memory, we have perhaps no identity. Memory conditions our preferences also, dislike or like a person. So if you have had, for example, an instance with a person, and that memory, it may be a good experience or maybe a bad experience you have had, you keep that in your memory, and that builds your preference. Next time when that person comes to you, you treat him accordingly. Either you welcome him or you dislike him, right? So this memory determines our nature as well as governs our actions also. Then there is an activity which is called analysis and synthesis. This is also done by our mind. What is that activity? What is analysis and synthesis? Actually, analysis is a process in which we try to find a thread of reason which governs any system. So we have a system where there are multiple entities, and we are trying to find a thread of reason, a reason we are somehow trying to connect those parts. And this activity is called analysis and synthesis. Analysis is what? To look for the thread of reason from one to many. When we want to find a linkage from the one which we have to the many, then it is the analysis. But sometimes it may be reverse, that we have many things around us and we want to find a common thread between them, what is connecting, and that is called synthesis, from many to one. So this activity keeps on going either from one to many or many to one, and this connection, the interrelation between the them, which is known as reason, a sort of a connection between all these activities, that is what we do with our mind. Now this process helps us find possible and impossible outcomes. Now when we are thinking or analyzing the things, it helps us to find what are the options available to us. We can reject certain options. We can find certain options that improbable, impossible. We can make future projections. We can observe patterns. We can form a worldview, etc., etc. All this is done by analysis and synthesis. Now then there is another thing, faculties of mind. Now we also develop a value system and a worldview. Now what we actually do when we form a value system or a worldview. Now what happens is that if you go in the world, the things which we are encountering, they are not objective things. What I mean to say by that, the things are not measurable. Objective means what is common to all of us, and that is the scientific approach. Take an example. Suppose I have some quantity of apples before me and I want to measure its weight. If there are 10 different persons, they will all measure the same weight, right? Now, that means it's an objective evaluation of a thing, and we all come to a common conclusion, right? But the life is not made up of that. Suppose, on the other hand, I put some painting before you and ask you to rate that painting, judge that painting. Or maybe there are 4 or 5 paintings, ask you to put them in order of your liking. Now, what you will find is that each person is giving a different order for those paintings. Why? Because this is a subjective evaluation. And when we are encountering subjective evaluation, we have our own personal value system. For example, we come across a student, we may value a student more who is disciplined. We value a student more who is intelligent. Who we may value a student more who is truthful, etc., etc., etc. Each person would be giving different weightage to different things, different attributes. Now, this is our value system, which is related to everything. It is to food, to people, to you can say ideals, etc. For some, the ideal of social service may be very high. For other, the service to God may be higher. So, to some, teaching uneducated students may be of high value. To other, distributing food may be of more important value. So all these people are giving different values to different systems. So this is our value system, and which actually in turn help us choosing in goal of our life. And that is why you will find that each person is different. Our value systems are different. Our worldview are different because they are subjective evaluation. They are based on quantities which cannot have objective evaluation, and based on that we choose our own goal of life. Okay. Then there is another faculty of mind, that is, it imagines. Now, what is imagination? Imagination is that something which has not manifested so far, but you imagine it, you perceive it. So that is also a faculty of mind, which is very important for innovations. All innovations come through imagination. That more or less that faculty is built into all of us. Okay. Then there is another thing called intuition. What is this intuition? Now, intuition is slightly different from mental knowledge. Our human knowledge or the mental knowledge is based on observation and analysis and synthesis. How do a man come to know about a thing? Pratakshen anumityava. There are 2 things by which man knows the thing. One is observation, that is pratakshen. The second is by anumana, that is analysis and synthesis. So whatever we know in this world is through our senses and through the analysis of the observations we have taken. But that is a mental knowledge. There is another faculty of knowledge, it is called intuition. Now, intuition is a knowledge which has come from a higher level of consciousness, higher plane of consciousness, and manifested itself in our mind. So, something which comes from the higher plane, which is a knowledge about the world or anything, object, etc., and it has manifested in our mind, and we are not seeing the link, how it comes, from where it is coming. But then it comes like a spark in our mind and we call it an intuition. Now that intuition is different from the gut feeling. There are certain times there is a gut feeling which comes from your experience or from past or from your body. You meet some person and you feel that it will not be good to interact with him. That's your gut feeling. So there is some confusion between that. We will not go into that. So this type of knowledge which is coming from outside, it may come from the lower levels of consciousness. It can come from the higher level of consciousness also. When they come from the higher level of consciousness, higher than the mental level, they are called intuition, right? And they are more clear knowledge. They may be a deformed knowledge, but originally in source, they are more clear. Okay. Then we will talk about thoughts. So we have talked about the importance of mind. We have talked about that mind controls our whole thing, whole being. We have also talked about that our mind is not free. Mind is controlled either by our lower vital instincts and emotions, or it is controlled by our idea, mind, worldview, etc. Then there are faculties of mind we talked about, like observation, memory, analysis, synthesis, value system, imagination, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Now we talk about working of mind. First, we look at thoughts. Now, first thing important about is that we have to understand that thoughts do not belong to us. They originate outside our mind and they come and occupy our mind. Right? So this is one basic thing about thought. Now, the problem is that because our observation is not subtle, we are not able to see the origin of thoughts. You see, if you look at a movie, right, what you are actually seeing static images. But what you perceive is a motion, action. Why? Because your power of perception, uh, the the capacity to differentiate between two different images is limited. And so a thing which is static appears to you moving. And this is how mind is cheated. Similarly, when thoughts come to our mind, their entry is so fast and so hidden that we are not able to see that they are coming from outside. As a result, what we see is thoughts originating in our mind and they become our being. So we start associating with our thoughts. So we start identifying ourselves with thoughts. But while we are different from our thoughts, this is an important aspect, and we should remember this, understand it, that unless until we realize that we are not our thoughts, we will not be able to control them. Okay. Then there is another thing important is that each thought carries in it a force. thought is not simply a thought. There is always a there's a sort of a message, emotion, a passion in it. You see, when I am talking to you, I may be talking very detached way. I may be very passionate. I may be having a feeling of uh, holier than thou, or even have a feeling that uh, sort of a complex, inferiority complex, maybe a superiority complex. Now, all that will not be there in the words, that will be there in the tone. So whenever a thought comes in, it is loaded with a passion or an emotion. And suppose a simple thing, a person calls you, though, let us go for a movie. Now, the moment he takes the name of a movie, and suppose that movie, you like that movie, or you like that actor or the lead actor in that movie, what will happen? Immediately, some sort of vibration will start within you. It is not simply an information. You start developing a dislike and like. Right? Similarly, when a food comes before you and you are looking at it, your saliva almost on automatically starts coming in. So whatever you are seeing is not purely an image or an object or a word. It carries an emotion, a passion with it. You see, when you see a person, you see your friend, right? After some time, there's already a joy in you. There was no reason for joy for being a person before you, but because you are associated with him, because you have some interaction with him, automatically his presence may become a joy or anger, something like that. So these things do not come alone as simple information. They come with an emotion and as a passion. Now, when they come like that, they take control over things, our being. The moment a thought comes into your mind, it is carrying a passion, an emotion, and if you respond to it, you become part of it, you become slave of it. That means it will take you and you will have to, you start following it, right? So, okay. Then Then there is something called porosity of mind. So let me first. So we have talked about thoughts. That one thing I said important is that thoughts do not belong to us. And the problem is that they come so silently that we are not able to see that they are entering our mind. And each thought carries some sort of motion, emotions or passion within it, which makes us fall prey to it. We are enslaved by it. Okay, we are captured by that thought. And a thought may, suppose somebody comes and hurl abuses on you, it may lead to fight. Why? Because that words created an emotion in you, some anger in you, and it put you in action. So this is what may happen. Okay. Now, what is this porosity of mind? That why does these thoughts come to you in your mind? Why such happens that some particular thoughts come in and some particular thoughts do not come in? You will find that a particular person only talks about a particular thing. You can note, you go back. When you go back, you look at the people, talk to them, and you will find that each person, his narrative will always be same. what he will be talking to you will invariably can be confined or put in a small domain. Why? Because each of us has entry point for certain things in our mind. We have our liking and disliking, our fears and preferences, aversions, morals, ideals, aims, etc. And you can recall, you meet a person, a friend who will always talk about movies, a person who will always talk about studies, a person who will always talk about girls, a person who will always talk about uh, his painful condition, a person who will always talk about nation. All these things, what are these? These are our preferences, aversions, dislike and liking, morals, ideals, etc., which actually make us open to particular type of thoughts. So each one of us has this porosity, and accordingly those thoughts keep on coming within our mind. Okay, we have to be careful about it. If we want that a particular thought should not come, we should be conscious and should be able to close that door. Okay, then now we are talking about the levels of mind. Okay, now at the first level, or at the bottom, I have put a person, a mind which has no preference and no control over thoughts. Now what is this person? He is a person who has no preference, and he is not averse to any type of thought. He can accept any thought. How is that person? You will find that his mind is like a traffic square where anybody can come in anytime, right? He is in a state of perpetual flux, directionless and purposeless. He is a slave. He would follow anyone because he himself is not tied to any particular direction, any particular thought. Any thought will come, pick it him, and take it in a direction. So it's just like a floating leaf in air. Whichever way the direction the air would flow, he would start flowing in that direction. He would be a slave. He would follow anyone. You can find such person. Those do not have any of their own personality, their own inhibitions, their choices, etc. And they mix with all the things, all the people. Then there is a mind who has no control over thoughts. Just like the person above, this person also does not have a control over thoughts, but it has a great preference for a particular stream of thoughts. Although he has no control over thoughts, but his preference for one particular stream of thoughts makes him devoid of all other thoughts. So what you will find is that this person is always moving in the same direction. And such a man is a man of great action. Because he is moving in the same direction, you will find that he has made a lot of progress. Yeah. However, he is actually faithful to a force. He is a faithful slave to a hidden force. But what is his state? He is actually governed by one single force and he is faithfully following it. So you can see that if there are people who are their life, they are working in the same direction. Some people spend whole of their life to earn money. Some people spend whole of their life to do research. I'm not saying research is a bad, you can say, occupation, but they are fixed. Some people bothered about only their family, right? Some people are bothered only about social service. And you'll find that they have done big work, but they have been always been in the grip of one particular force. Okay. Then there is another set of person which they also have no preference. But these people are the one who are struggling to analyze the word and synthesize the word. So they are in the process of choosing. The first type of person was those who don't want to choose. They are moving with anybody. Whatever thoughts come in, they carry along with that. Then there was second set of person who are fixed to one particular thought. Now, the third category of the people are those who have no preference, but they are also not fixed to anybody. They are struggling to analyze and synthesize. They are trying to understand. Now, such a man is not a man of action because he is always analyzing. He is not able to perform. No progress is visible from outside because no idea is able to dominate itself and actualize through him. So he is not working in any direction. His direction is hidden. He is trying to solve a puzzle of this world, puzzle of his life. And outside, there is no force, no thought or force for which he is working. So no tangible result is seen outside. All his struggle is going within him. Now, internally, there is a struggle going on to establish control over fissiparous activities of mind. Now, what he is trying to do is he's finding that his mind is full of different type of thoughts which are pulling him in different directions. He wants to find a central thought in that, some direction in that. So that is what he is working. Now he looks confused. वो बाहर से आपको कंफ्यूज दिखेगा, वीक और तामसिक दिखेगा, क्योंकि वो किसी पे भी स्ट्रेंथ नहीं कर रहा, किसी पे भी स्टे नहीं कर रहा. तामसिक है because he has less of action. All the action is going in mind because he is not wedded to any thought, but a great churning is going within him. तो ऐसे भी आपको लोग मिलेंगे. You can put it where you are. All these levels I am telling you from 1 to there are 2, 3 more. So you can fix where you stand in this. Okay. Then there is a person who has analyzed the word, synthesized the word, and opted a word view. Now, this type of a person is one who has consciously chosen one particular idea to express. Unlike the person at the second level who chose one idea without actually analyzing it. He chose because of the environment, because of its influence of people around him, maybe this or that. But this person has analyzed and synthesized the worldview, rightly or wrongly, right? And he has chosen one idea for himself to govern his life. Unlike a mind that was enamored of one idea, this mind chooses an idea. So this mind is different from the other because he was enamored of one idea, that he liked it and chose it. And this person has analyzed it and chosen that idea. He is also a man of great accomplishment because now his direction is fixed. So he is going to make good progress, physical progress, that is visible progress. However, the force he has accepted to manifest does not originate from the highest source. But still, something is lacking. Although he has analyzed the thing, he has seen the word view, he has made a word view, and out of that he has collected, chosen one particular idea. But the problem is he cannot still see the truth, because by mind you cannot see the truth. You cannot understand the word. You only can make an image out of it. So what he has done is he has accepted one idea based on his reason, experience, ideals, etc., etc. He has justification for all of them, but that is not truth. Because truth is entirely different, that cannot be put in the words. So this person is analytical, synthetic, he has chosen an idea, but he still, either he knows or he doesn't know, that he is not touching the truth. He is following a one particular idea, but that is an assumption which is done. Okay. Then there is another level. A man who has established control over thoughts, he can follow a thought or live in silence. Now, this person has controlled the thoughts and he can live in silence also. That means he can be with thoughts or without thoughts. Okay. So we are talking about this person. Now, this person is always in meditation. Meditation doesn't mean absence of thoughts. Meditation means you are master of your thoughts. So this person is always in meditation because at will he can stop any thought and pick up any thought. This person would be good in everything. Whatever he decides, he does it nicely in a skilled manner. He is a man of great accomplishment, because all those disturbing thoughts, Fissiparous thoughts, will not be able to trouble him, disturb him. He is still not free of choice. He chooses a thought based on reason, experience, ideals, value system, but not in truth. So similar to that, the only difference between the previous one and this one is this person is still at a higher level where he can actually enter into silence for the time being. Right? But when he has to come in action, again he has to pick up a thought, an idea, which is against, based on his perception, his worldview, subjective understanding of the word, his preferences, but it is not truth. Okay. He can switch from one idea to another idea because he is not bound to any. So his mind is free. This person has a free mind, but he has still not touched truth or light. He is still away from the light. Okay. So this is the level of, then there is another level. The highest is the man. Who is the highest man? Out of these gradations, the one, now you can guess, a person who is in silence, control of his thoughts, as well as who knows the truth, he is the highest. Okay. So who is such a person? Who is in union with God and God works through him. So when you touch God or your soul, you really know the truth only at that time. So this is the person who lives in silence, can pick up any thought, but he picks up thought from the upside, not from his own level, from the mental level. He picks up thoughts from the higher levels through God, etc. Okay. Now that you have a shloka in Gita, Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sanga Tyaktava Dhananjaya Siddhyo Asiddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Which means that fixed in yoga, do thy actions. Yoga means to be in union with God. So you are fixed in yoga, you are in union with God. From there, you are getting the inspiration, you are getting the thoughts, you are getting the direction, having abandoned all attachments, having become equal in failure and success. So all these things do not trouble you. You are actually directly receiving the command from the God and you are following that. And it is the equality that is meant by yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Now, this is the person who is the master of his mind as well as he connected to the truth. Okay. So these are the different levels of mind. Now we come to what is meditation. Meditation is an art, or I may say it is an exercise to gain control over mind. So what is mind? It is to control, sorry, what is meditation? It is to control our mind. In other words, you can say meditation is to become conscious of the working of our mind and then control the working of mind. So that means you are able to separate yourself from mind. You become conscious of the working of the mind and you are able to control the working of mind. That is meditation. Meditation is to concentrate the mind on a single train of thoughts which work out a single idea. So you can also pick up a one particular idea and work accordingly. So what you have done is you have all rejected all those side ideas or useless ideas which were troubling you. So in meditation, you can do that also. All those ideas which are disturbing you, you can throw them out. Meditation is to train the mind to think what you want to think. In other words, it is to discipline the mind. That means you consciously know that what I am thinking, whether I need to think on this or not, is something like this. I give you an example. Suppose you are preparing for exam. Tomorrow is mathematics exam, right? And you like very much physics. But you can control your mind that at least for a day I will study only mathematics. So that power is there within us. We can decide that whatever we can, suppose I want to go to restaurant today, but I have an exam tomorrow, I can postpone it. That means I can control my thought. And we do it, but we do it per force when we are forced to do it. But if we start doing it automatically, consciously, then we become master of our mind. So this is what is meditation. Why should we be doing meditation? We have discussed it too. It will help us become master of our mind. And master of our mind means master of our life. Because ultimately, it is mind which is controlling our life. And we will be able to live a conscious and purposeful life. Once we control our mind, we will be able to decide what will be the aim of my life. Then meditation would, I think there is, meditation would help us to live an efficient and better life. Meditation would help us free from clutches of desires, passion, and emotions. Now we can see that when any thought is coming to us, it is bringing with us a desire, passion, emotion, etc. We become watchful of it. We can keep it control of it, and if the need be, throw it out. And it will also help us by looking for silence, by looking for being receptive. We can move to a higher level of consciousness. We can transfer ourselves into a higher being. This also we can do with meditation. Now, then what are the fundamentals of meditation? How do we actually do the meditation? And what is the basic principle of meditation? Now, meditation is a two-way process. What is it? On one hand, we need to focus our mind on a particular theme or idea. So, what is happening in our mind that we should be able to determine? Will it remain empty, free of thoughts, or what particular thought will be flowing through our mind? That is what we are able to control. Now, what is happening is that we know this in practice. What happens that whatever thought we try to bring, at that time some other thought comes in. That is like a disturbance. So we should be able to minimize the disturbance. So if we want to concentrate on a particular thought, we should also remove the disturbances from all around. You are sitting in your room preparing for exam. Somebody next door starts a music system. You go to him, say, please shut it down. I am getting disturbed. What are you doing? Because you have still not developed the quality to ignore that sound and you are getting disturbed from it. So you go and physically try to stop it. Okay. So there is a disturbance and there is a focus, right? A central theme. So you try, if you want to focus on a particular thought, what you do, you try to uh, you try to control the disturbance, right? So sometimes you try to read in the night, during the night, or all those things you can do. So this is what we need to do. That is, we have to reduce the disturbances. How to minimize the disturbance? How should we be minimizing the disturbances? One of the way of minimizing the disturbance is that our world view should be wide and all encompassing. That means we should take care of all sorts of situation. It's not that a particular situation comes and we get disturbed, right? If we have experienced that situation, if our worldview is wide enough, then probably we will be less disturbed, right? You will find that suppose certain uh, calamity or certain things happen, some people get disturbed, some people do not get disturbed. One of the reason is that those people who are not getting disturbed, they know that what is the course of action, what they should do now. And those who do not know the course of action, they get panicky. So we should have a worldview so that we can have minimum disturbances. We should be able to divert the mind from thought that is disturbing. There should be some way if we can devise that way, then dissociate oneself from objects and occurrence. Can we dissociate ourselves from the things? That is also possible. And these three activities would lead to minimize the disturbance, and of course then we can focus. So on one side you have to have a strong willpower which should be stubborn and focused on your work. On the other side, you should try to reduce the disturbances so that you remain focused, right? So now, how does this wide and encompassing worldview help? Now, suppose a situation arises that some very close person to you dies, and naturally it will shake us, and but it will have different effect on a different people. Now, if you have a proper worldview, probably you will be able to face this situation gracefully. For example, let us say we may assume, I have boldened this word assume. Why I am saying so is that these are all assumptions. We have to make an assumptions. The truth is very far. Okay. We all work only on assumptions. So we assume, and this is given in Gita Shlok number 2/12, that the real person, we may think like that, and we have been taught like that for centuries together, that the real person, the soul, does not die. It moves from this world to another world and born again. It is just like changing the clothes. The person has not died, it is only that he has taken a new form and gone out of touch. If we look at that situation with this assumption or this view, you will find that there is no reason to grieve. The person has not died. He has only changed his location, has changed his clothes, etc., changed his forms. So probably it will be less disturbing. Okay. Then you can also think in terms in a different way, that you may assume that everyone dies. Of course, that is a fact. You need not assume it. So everyone dies. And you know that day is fixed to leave this world, and I would also leave the world. Death is unavoidable. So why should grieve? Something which cannot be avoided, why should one bother about it? So this is the way you can convince yourself, and probably the gravity of that instance of death would reduce and the disturbance would soon die away. You will get your calmness back soon. We may assume any of these views or any other view, the one appeals to us and restore peace in our mind and being. So it is up to us what we do, right? What we should do, we will talk some other day, but we can assume any of these views or maybe other views which make us comfortable. Only thing is that our worldview should be large enough to wide enough to take up all these types of cases. Now take another case. How can you divert your mind? So the first example I gave you, that you can have a worldview which makes the disturbance weak. Now how to divert your mind? Take a case when someone cheats you and we get hurt, we start planning to take the revenge. Soon we are overpowered by an emotion of revenge, and what happens that it takes control of our mind. We start planning and subsequently executing the plan. So somebody has ditched us, cheated upon us, and we start taking the revenge, right? And of course that revenge will keep on creating the disturbance. Normally these days you will find that in a lot of discussion, especially on social media, etc., WhatsApp, you post something, somebody reacts to it, and this discussion keeps on going on for days together, and it keeps on giving you disturbance. Why? What can you do is, okay, take another example, that you are giving an exam and you are stuck up on a question. Now what happens? You are not able to perform, get the answer of a particular question. Now you immediately lose your confidence, and what happens? You are overpowered by fear or anxiety, and your control of mind gains, the whole thing, you have lost the control of your mind. We lose our rationality, calmness, and we are unable to do the rest of the bit. So the problem was that a 1 out of 10 question or 7 question, one question I didn't know, but because that anxiety, that pressure took so much of me that I could not do rest 3 or 4 questions also. How should we get out of these situations? This situation is one of the ways to come out of those overpowering emotions, is to divert the mind to some other activity. Now what we do, we can shift to a game, a book, a movie, a stroll with a friend, etc. You can keep different, you can pick up a different activity. Of course in exam you cannot do that. You can still, you can start playing with your pen for a few minutes. It makes no harm wasting few minutes in the exam. You can go out, take water. You can take a small nap. Paper time is 1 hour. You can sleep for 5 minutes, no problem. You can play on the table for 5 minutes. Get out of that emotion or reaction which was there, and you can, if you are outside, you can read a book, you see a movie, call your friend, talk to him, and change the activity. As you change the activity, as I told you that each activity, each thought carries an emotion and a passion with it. The passion or emotion which you were having before will be changed now, replaced by a new thing. And what will happen? The one that was troubling you will go in the background, and you will regain the control of your mind. This is what you can do. And we can change a sad situation by resorting to some game, play, movie, etc. And that happens. Sometimes you find that your friend or your brother or your sister is in a bad mood. And of course, I am of age. Sometimes my children are in bad mood. I tell them, okay, let's go out for a movie. Let's go out for a dinner. Change the environment. The thoughts would change, the action would change, the reactions would change, the emotion would change, and that gloom would go away. Right? So that is one way. That is what you divert yourself. Then another thing is you can do it by dissociating yourself from the objects. This is what we are talking, that how do we control the disturbances. So there is a concept of Purusha and Prakriti. We say that whatever is happening in Prakriti and nothing happens to Purusha. So you can think of yourself as a soul which is never disturbed by anything. Nothing affects it. वो गीता में एक श्लोक है ना, नैनम छिंदंती शस्त्राणी नैनम दहती पावका न च क्लेदंत्यापो न च शोष्यति मारुता. तो ये ऐसी चीज है जिसको किसी चीज का फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. You can associate yourself with your soul or a being or a Purusha and think that whatever is happening is outside, it is not touching you. And that disturbance will go away. You can do that. One may consider himself other than his body, passion, emotion. You can think that these things are outside you and consider yourself as a soul aloof from all this, right? So then we talk about the techniques of meditation. Okay. How do we meditate? What is the you can say science behind it? One of the very you can say common exercises concentrate on breathing act. Those who have done this vipassana, they know about anapana, where you actually concentrate on your breathing, right? What is that? Actually, breathing is such a mundane activity where there is no emotion is associated with it. By looking at the breathing, no emotion will generate within you. Actually, thought gets captured over you through emotions, right? So when you are looking at the breathing, what will happen? Your attention from other things goes away. When you are looking at breathing, your consciousness move away from other thoughts, wandering thoughts. So now when you are looking at the breathing, you are being less aware of other thoughts which were going on in your mind. Now, the moment you are less aware, you are less attentive towards them, these thoughts become powerless and they fall themselves. They automatically start going. So when you are sitting, you are looking at your breathing, you continue to do that. After 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you will find that you are entering into peace. Slowly and slowly, all the thoughts are going out, right? Because you are not giving any attention to them. Of course, it is sometimes difficult when you are really agitated. It disturbs. It is difficult. But this is one exercise you can do. And once these thoughts leave you, you become peaceful. If you are looking only at breathing, no thought will come in because it has no emotion attached to it, right? Okay. Then breathing can be substituted by any other physical activity. You have to take an activity such like gardening, which should not create any emotions or passion in you, right? Some sort of frustration or some types of exaltation, something like that. You can do such certain acts like that and concentrate on that. You can enter into meditation. Okay. Then there is another activity which people talk about. So one of the technique is focusing on your breathing. The second is to watch over your thoughts. Now, what actually happens when you are watching over the thoughts? The moment one observes a thought, he becomes the observer and the thought becomes an object. Now, so far as I told you, the thought and you are one. And that is the problem. Because you do not see that they are coming from outside. The moment you see that these the thoughts are coming from outside, you are observing them, it becomes a thought, object and the observer. A difference is created between the two, and you in turn you get control over the thought. Now you are observing the thought, right? And you become master of the thought. Okay, because the moment you start observing it, your emotions will go away, and the moment emotions will go away, your connection between the thought is broken, and now at a suitable time you can throw it out also. While observing the thought, do not let thought generate passion or emotion within you. The moment a thought generates a passion or an emotion in our being, it gains control over our being, and we start working under the influence of passion or emotion. तो ये अपने को ध्यान रखना है कि जैसे ही हम थॉट के ऊपर कंसंट्रेट कर रहे हैं, उसको कोई भी इमोशन या पैशन अपने अंदर डेवलप ना करने दें. Let us remain free of that. Okay? Watch over that. So once we rise above the thoughts, we can determine the thought we wish to entertain and ignore the other irrelevant thoughts. Now, the moment you are watching the thoughts, you become master of the thoughts, and you can decide which one is to go and which one is to remain, right? And that is what is meditation. That is what is the control of thoughts. Okay? And or we may ignore all thoughts, and in absence of thought, we can fix our consciousness on object, an idea, deity, or peace. This is also another way. What people do is that instead of looking at the thoughts, they put their consciousness on an object, an idea, or a deity, or on peace. On these things, you can focus your mind. And obviously, when your attention is, your consciousness is focused on these things, thoughts go in background and they finally leave your mind. Okay. Then I think this is the last slide I wish to bring before you, that what is silence. Now, if you are without thought, what is there? It is silence. Okay. But we must understand what is silence. Okay. Silence is not absence of thought. This is the biggest mistake we do. Silence is not absence of thought. What is silence? Silence is not absence of thought. Instead, it is real and self-existent. In truth, thoughts are disturbances in silence, like waves on a sea. The reality is that it is the silence which exists. And thought is a disturbance in the silence. It is like sea which already exists. If the sea is not moving, you don't see the sea. But you see the waves only. So you are focused on waves, but there is sea below it. The waves are on the sea. Thoughts are on the silence. The stars are on the sky. Behind the stars, there is a sky. The sky is holding them. Sea is holding the waves. Silence is holding the thoughts. So what mistake we do is we focused on the thoughts, we focus on the waves, we focus on the stars, we focus what is written on the blackboard. What do we not see? We do not see the silence, we do not see the sea, we do not see the sky, we do not see the blackboard. So there is a background which is not making any noise, which is silent, which is there. If we can focus on that, thoughts will automatically go away. And that is the most successful, easy way of getting into silence. So if you can do that, you will find that you can very well or easily attain silence. Okay. But the problem with us is when we want to throw away the thoughts, and in this process we fail, because what to fill with the thought when there are no thoughts? How do we fill it? Actually, silence is already there, so we have to focus on silence. Thoughts will automatically go away. This is the technique we have to follow. Focus on silence. And once you focus on silence, what you are seeing? Thoughts are moving in front of you. You will be able to detach from passion and emotion accompanying the thoughts. Once thought do not get expression, they will withdraw. And when you focus on silence, your attention or thoughts will weaken and then die away. Once thoughts do not get expression, they will withdraw. So it's one and same thing, that if you focus on silence, thoughts will be left out and they will slowly go away. So something about silence, that what is silence? Silence is not absence of thoughts, as I told you. Instead, it is real and self-existent. What you miss so much is very much before you. It is present down below you, around you. Okay? Thoughts are disturbances in silence, just like waves on sea. So it is always there, always present. You can pick it up anytime you want. Silence separates truth from us. Below the silence, before the silence, till you achieve the silence, there is no truth. Everything is an assumption. So let me make a very bold statement. Unless until you have reached silence, you are working on assumptions. There is no way, no truth in you. Once you touch the silence, truth actually manifests through silence. Once you are able to hold the silence, truth is visible there. Then you know what is the truth of this world, what is the truth of your life, what is expected of you. This is happens once you see the silence. So this is here I would like to end.